Hi all. So it's been a while since I've done one of these. This is going to be a bit of a ramble. I don't really know where this is going to go. I don't have anything on the agenda as such, other than the fact I know I've got things to say. So I might cover just a ground in different kind of topic areas, and yeah, hopefully people find it interesting. So I guess the first thing I'm going to start off with is just tennis and my own betting. I think everyone knows at this point I'm someone that's always going to front up during bad runs, and I don't ever kind of get carried away too much with recent results. But this really, when you look at it objectively, if you look at the results from 2 years now, that you'd say that, oh, has he lost his edge, or is he no longer profitable? And I can 100% appreciate those concerns, which is why as a tipster I feel like in this situation it is really important to, for me anyway, to keep giving a lot of context into why results might be in a certain way, why the reasons for a bad run, whether it's variance, whether it's poor betting from myself, whether it's to do with, there's all sorts of factors that come into it. So I really wanted to kind of, recently I feel like now is almost ironically the best time to follow someone like me as a tipster, because I hate losing. I hate a run like the one we've been on, where this year has just had no luck whatsoever. The statistical probability of me being minus 35 points at this stage of the season with the bets that I've made must be like in the less than a 1% chance of that happening in reality. When you look at the outcomes we've had such weird statistical outcomes going against us. And even in our last two bets, I mean, Tsitsipas with 6 set points against Rude in a match that he's taking over. Then, if you look at it from say he's got a 40% chance of winning each point of the 6, and there's probably like an 8% chance that he doesn't take one of those 6 points, let alone lose the set anyway. And it's the same with Sarundale. Say he's got a 40% chance, he's still got, say, like an 85% chance of taking one of the 3 points. So yeah, it is a bit, it's been annoying, because there have been a few misreads, but when you're not getting reward for your good bets, and then when there's a bet that's slightly on the fence, whether it was a good bet or a bad bet, and it's losing, then you're just getting punished in both aspects. Looking, I because I've been doing I'm doing a deep dive on players, and players that I back well and back badly, and oppose well and oppose badly, and that's going to be the subject of my next deep dive. But because I've been doing that, like, I am always looking back at previous results and previous data periods where I can tell that I'm betting in a flow, and there's other times where I can tell I'm betting badly. And when I look at it objectively, I do really feel that there was a period at the end of 2022 where I knew I wasn't in a great place in life generally, and I was betting really, really poorly at that stage. There were a lot of loose bets. And in 2023, just towards the end in April, I think, there were bad bets, and the reason for the losing run wasn't to do with variance, it was to do with the bets not being good enough. Whereas when I look at it objectively this year, I don't think that's been the case. I think, there were a few days at the Australian Open where I probably, put out a few too many bets on a certain couple of days where I think I bet Fakina handicap and Lechka handicap, and they both lost on the same day. And there's a few bets even recently, Norrie against Courier, first match on clay, where he didn't play well. But it's been quite a low percentage of bets that I, didn't do regret with hindsight. Like, as a general whole, I'm actually very happy with my process now. There's good structure to how I'm selecting bets. I'm trying to really tighten things up. I think the last couple of weeks, just horrendous luck, to be honest. And I feel the fact I've been on a bad run does help in some senses, because it just really makes me lock in now into kind of a pretty defensive situation where I don't want to be putting out any bad bets. I really want to get things turning in the right direction now. Whereas when you're on a good run, or a period where you might be making profit but not excessively or whatever, you can get a bit looser at times, because psychologically you feel like you're ahead of the game, so it's a bit easier to get a bit complacent and drop in some loose bets. But right now, like, I am in a period psychologically where I'm really locked in. I'm not someone that's gonna kind of go away from a battle, or one of my I've been saying to a few people, it's you can lose a battle, but it's all about winning a war. And I see that with tipping, to be honest. I think as a tipster, you've got to accept that you're going to have bad periods, you're going to have bad months. You can even have a period of a bad 12 months or whatever, if the circumstances are as they have been for me, really. But you've got to look at it also, like, how do you want to feel at the end of the year? Like, it's a pretty cool narrative now if I turn it around, have a solid year in the end, and then I can say, look how strong I was mentally during this period, and I can go back and reference this video and say that it was coming, because that's ultimately what it is. That when you've had a bad period of results, that's the past. You can't change it. There's nothing I can do now to unless I doctored my result sheet, which everyone goes up in outrage, and I don't have anyone following my bets anyway, so what's the point? But on a general level, there's nothing you can do once bets have gone a certain way. The only thing that matters now is whether you're going to be profitable in the future. And for me, the way to go about that is you have to just reset every day. Like, as long as you're not carrying emotion from your losses onto your next morning, onto your next days, worrying about what's happened before, I do think it is a big problem generally with tipsters, that go off the rails during a bad run. It's because they are starting to get too much into their head about what's happened in the last 2 or 3 months or the period before, and not enough about how that doesn't matter anymore, how your long-term record, if your edge is good, is profitable, and to focus on just finding good bets. That's all that counts. As long as you're finding good bets at the end of the day, it will eventually turn around. And that's always what I'm going to be telling myself, because ultimately I don't think I'm doing too much wrong. I think a lot of people that I've talked to about my tennis betting this year probably have been in agreement. And I've been really unlucky. I've had a lot of people discussing bets with me prior to matches happening and being like, that's a solid bet, like, I really like that idea. And truthfully, I outside of the bot bets, like, I've not had anything like for negative variance on my own personal betting. I obviously bet stuff outside of my bot bets. I try and make it very service friendly these days, but yeah, just terrible variance. But there's nothing you can, as I said, there's nothing you can do about it. It's happened over a span of 4 or 5 years, which is what I'm hoping to hoping to do in terms of continuing to tip for the future, that you will definitely see that skill element of betting coming out. But in a sample of 100, 150 bets, there's always possibility for it to go, you know, horribly wrong, to be honest. So yeah, those are kind of like my thoughts relating to that. Also in relation, I just feel like I am really now absorbing everything from my deep dives last year. Like I did make a few first round mistakes still this season, but I do feel very aware of how I'm betting in the first round. I am starting to target angles like unders more, or one-sided matches, or trying only to oppose players who are out of form, or some sort of thing that's identifying as a key edge in a first round, rather than in the past I would be taking gambles on how I'd expect the player to look in court conditions, which is where I was like giving up a lot of points. Also, other mistakes I used to make is I would, have like a day where I didn't sleep well and then put out a lot of volume. And last year would have been a lot better as a year as a whole if I hadn't had 3 or 4 days where I had negative double-digit points. I had like one day which was minus 15 points or something, and I'm cut that out. Like, I am really focusing on making each individual bet count where possible, like trying to prioritize consistency in terms of quality, even though it hasn't turned out that way results wise. I think in terms of a process, in terms of what I'm doing, it's all good. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And also, what I would say is I'm really glad I've got my bot system for my own service, for the simple reason that if people were requiring to pay monthly, like £30 a month, I don't think there would be very few people following at this point, and that it would be completely understandable from a statistical perspective. In terms of results from the last recent period, I personally feel like I will make good profit in the future, but you wouldn't have that evidence, and yeah, you wouldn't follow. But with my bet bot system, you bank your credits, and then it makes it a lot easier to just trust. As long as you've got that faith in a tipster for the long term, you're not having to sacrifice additional capital in terms of a monthly cost. And eventually, if I do kind of get my rhythm and we get those get into terms of long-term profitability again, it's a massive advantage, my bet bot system, for building trust, and being able to persevere with a tipster when they're going through a difficult period, because there's no additional costs that you have to consider. It makes it a lot easier to keep faith. And I think it's testament that I've still got a very decent number of people following my bets, because I think the way my bot system is structured allows me to keep that sense of loyalty, and to keep people in the loop as well with how I'm feeling and thinking, and to gain that longer term trust. And I think that is something that can be seen with the other tipsters as well. For example, you look at Houdini. Houdini was minus 30 points at one point in January. Now look at how he's done. He ended the last month strong, and then now 58 points. Like, it's entirely possible that can happen with my tennis. It might not, but like I wouldn't put it past that kind of outcome happening. The same with bonds. Like, obviously it's a slow start to the year, but in terms of statistical profits and variance, you would expect those big profit months to come in the future, despite a negative month. And I think that's the main thing to realize, is that there's often not too much correlation between a month and an all-time result of a tipster, especially if they've been around for quite a while. And it's just remembering that you can just have periods where you don't have likely statistical outcomes happening in your matches, or like JP, for example, so many red cards, it's unreal. Like in a normal situation, you get 10% of red cards in a match, or 1 in 10 matches. It feels like 1 in 2. It's kind of absurd, and obviously when you've got a 10 versus 11 situation, it's going to always favor one team rather than the others. And yeah, so it's just one of those things. You've got to kind of give it a sample of 500 to 1,000 bets, and then kind of make judgments about a tipster, and whether you're gonna carry on. And that's also links in with the bet bots generally. It does allow you to look at that long-term perspective, because you're not having to worry about giving away capital during giving away money during your losing runs or whatever. You can be patient, and when the profits come and you reinvest them, then it's great. So yeah, that's everything related to the tennis. I think, yeah, I generally feel like I would end up covering stuff that I've already covered on the info channel. But one thing I did want to just kind of bring up, because we've got such a good, helpful community here with the bet bots, is we are kind of looking into the possibility of getting investments soon, in terms of developing what we've got with our bot. And the big problem we have at the moment is my brother he works full time as a software developer. It's 5 days a week. Some weekends he's going to be busy for the whole time. Even if he's not busy, then you can be a bit burned out if you're working full time. So what we really need is kind of investment in being able to invest in, say, contractors to help move the bot project along, in terms of there's so many ideas now that I have in terms of what I would want to be dedicating time towards in terms of making bot improvements and stuff. But the key element is the time involved, and also things like SEO with my website. I designed it all myself, and I think I've done a decent enough job, but it doesn't look professional. It looks homemade, which of course it is. But these kind of things can help us grow our business and stuff. So where I'm going with this is just to kind of reach out and say, if there is anyone that has knowledge of kind of or has experience in, say, stuff like business consultancy, or has worked with small businesses, or has worked with people that know of people who have worked with startups, etc., then to maybe get in touch and perhaps give some contacts or some advice, because we're really looking now to really kind of grow the business, because we're at this point where the foundations are so solid. We've got a great community, we've got great tipsters on board, we've got great demand for the product, and it just feels like we need that extra step, and kind of having creating my own business plan, etc., for the future is gonna help, and hopefully finding ways of generating investment. But when you're my age and you've been working after university full time in betting, and this is all I know, you don't have that relevant experience in terms of knowing certain business fundamentals, etc. As anyone knows by now who's been following me for a long time, they know that I'm always trying to continuously improve what we're doing here, making incremental changes, and always trying to take things in the right direction. So it's something with that where I feel that's the same with business. I'll learn and absorb knowledge from other people. It's just about finding the right outlets to gain that knowledge. So all I'm going with that is to say, if there's anyone that kind of knows of anyone that could help on that front with experience, that could help us take our business forward, then feel free to just get in touch, because you know I've got nothing to lose from reaching out in this way, and I respect so many people in the community, and I agree, I'm sure everyone else would agree who's following, would find it exciting to see what we're doing take off even more. So yeah, just thought I'd bring that up as well. So yeah, it's a 20-minute video now, so I've kind of gone off the whole idea of doing TikToks and 1-minute spiels or whatever. I'm gonna have to employ someone for that kind of stuff, because it's not me, I can't do that. So hope you appreciate, or hope you don't mind me going on a bit of a ramble. Yeah, so next I will be doing another video fairly soon, as I said, for analysing the different tennis players and how well I do backing and opposing certain players. And also if I spontaneously feel like I want to talk about something like I have today, I'll start doing it a bit more often, because I do kind of enjoy you know, discussing all betting topics, and if anyone wants me to cover a certain subject, then feel free to get in touch also. So yeah, cheers guys.